We get everybody's attention. We've got some people coming down from health. Our meeting's sort of stacked on top of each other today, but I'm going to do the same thing to judiciary if I don't try to get going here because they follow us. Senator Hickman, would you do the invocation for us? You're on too, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And let us pray. Lord God, you've given us another great day, Heavenly Father. We just thank you for the opportunity that you've given us to be in this room and, Lord, to represent the great people of the state of Georgia. Lord, just give us wisdom, justice, moderation, and courage as we deliberate on these bills. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. Let me tell somebody I was telling them to hurry up and get here. They don't have to now that we have a quorum. All right. The first bill we were going to hear today was HB 874 by Representative Huddleston. If you want to come up front here. I can't remember if you've been to the Finance Committee meeting before or not.
I was in here the other day. I hadn't presented before, but
That's right.
I stood in here the other day.
Oh, but you didn't present.
No, sir.
Yeah, okay.
No, sir. This is my first time presenting before the committee.
Okay. Well, welcome to the Finance Committee. We're not as bad as you hear, so.
We're worse. Worse. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to the committee. Today on House Bill 874, this is known as the Georgia Taxpayers Privacy Protection Act. So this piece of legislation aims to enhancing taxpayer privacy and property tax records. This bill would prohibit the disclosure of taxpayers' telephone numbers when property tax records are sold, transferred, shared to third parties. Under this proposal, anyone improperly disclosing phone numbers could face civil penalties in violation of this law. The intent is to protect personal contact information from being publicly exposed or misused while still allowing government agencies to use the data internally for their tax administrations. Basically, the intent of this is just basically the Privacy Protection Act, as we all receive those phone calls and that type of thing there. And one of the concerns is not only is the local agencies can utilize that personal information within their records, but once it gets into a third party's hands, we never know where it may end up there. So basically, protecting seniors and all of us as property tax owners is just removing that phone number.
All right. Any questions from the committee? Everybody understand it okay, what we're doing? We're just protecting the phone number from being public record. So go ahead, Senator Albers.
I move we do pass House Bill 874 LC 443508S.
We have a motion, Senator Albers, second by Senator Anderson. Any discussion from anybody? If not, all in favor, say, raise your hand. Sure. All right, motion carries unanimously. You've got one more, and I'll let you stay up there, I guess. So.
Okay, thank you, sir. Yeah, basically this is.
Wait a minute. Let's go back and make sure everybody knows what bill we're looking at.
Yeah, 1261.
LC number and all that. All right,
It should be
LC 560550. Is that what you're looking at?
That's correct. Yeah, this is House Bill 1261. It proposes an amendment to Georgia Tax Code to create a Level 1 Freeport exemption for certain goods held in inventory by electrical utilities. This bill is designed to offer targeted tax relief and qualifying inventory, establish an application process through the local county where the property is located, and update related provisions that state law is to ensure proper administration to the exemption. Basically what this piece of legislation is doing is basically adding the language in to where it would allow electrical utilities to have that conversation with their local governments to determine a percentage of exemption from 0 to 100%. Basically, then it would go to a referendum before the electors to be voted in. So this is just adding the language into this part where it will allow them to have that conversation.
All right, Senator Albers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to sum this up, this is simply a local control bill, has no impact on state tax dollars whatsoever. Is that true?
That is 100% correct.
Thank you.
We've got somebody signed up to testify, but if you're for it, I don't think you need to testify. You might talk us out of it if you bring up something that maybe we missed, you know. All right. I don't see any other questions. Oh, sorry. We got Senator Dolezal. Go ahead.
Thank you, Representative. Can you articulate to the best of your ability, this is not your position, obviously, but there's some pretty strong opposition in the House, it looked like, to this. What was the stated opposition, reason for the opposition?
I think basically, I guess let me build on that and then I go from there. Basically, I spent 36 years with electrical utilities of EMCs, and part of one of the hats I wore was inventory related. And a lot of times within this right here, I think we have talked a lot about this last year or over the years of reliability of service to our customers and actually save dollars to the ratepayer. So basically within opposition there, I think there's been a lot of misunderstanding or language within basically it's been held in the past with utility companies, not only of EMCs, Georgia Power, MEAGs, and that type of thing there. But at the end of the day, my intent is, like you said, number one is to save dollars for the ratepayer, but the reliability of service, no different than the storms we faced last night. This allowed us to basically have that inventory on the yard, but then I was required to have a certain number, a level of inventory that basically at the end of the year we had to pay tax upon. So what this can actually do there is the dollar savings within that Freeport tax, they can actually invest it back into the infrastructure and or have more equipment for reliability or actually save their tax.
Can I ask a couple more questions?
I'm not sure you answered that.
Yeah, he didn't answer it at all, but that's okay. Which is fine.
Well,
if you don't want to
I
answer
think
it,
it goes
that's
back
fair.
that there's been a lot of language, like so a lot of conversation within ratepayers, exemptions, and things like that within
So would you
being discussion.
kind of general anti-power company sentiment?
Some people may perceive that, but
Okay.
it's nowhere near that.
So, and I'm glad you got experience in this because I don't. So, the inventory that you held, was all of that taxes inventory? Or was there was there a specific amount that was not subject to that tax, and the kind of the extra was?
I think what that does, basically, that gives you that negotiation tool because in inventory,
What do you mean that get?
that would basically
What's the current law as it relates to the taxation of inventory?
I'm not sure of the current laws. I just know within the inventory, basically, it was 154.10 and 368.10, which is your inventoried materials of transformers and then the hardwares. So basically, that allows the conversation with your local government to have that discussion on which materials would be exempt.
I guess what I'm trying to understand is what's been explained to me in the hallways is these companies want to hold more inventory to be able to service in a power outage situation, which makes perfect sense. And they're arguing that they're being penalized for stocking that inventory. What I didn't know that I'm asking is if there's a current amount of inventory they can currently hold without being taxed.
To my knowledge, no, because
Okay.
basically, I can give you one example. We have at my local utility, we have a company that uses German equipment. It's German that come over. So basically, they had to have a special voltage required to run the equipment. We was required, number one, to provide that transformer for that company to provide that voltage, but to go back to reliability of service, we actually had to have a transformer on the yard that may last 20 years there at that business, but we was required to have that transformer for reliability of service.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, one more, if I may. Does this apply to all utility companies? There's a lot of conversation about EMCs. Does this apply to natural gas companies?
No, this basically electric utilities for this would be your EMCs and your Georgia Power, basically your MEAGs, your local municipalities. It's like City of Newnan basically owns their electrical utility.
Do you know of municipalities currently that are wanting to waive this tax, or?
I do not.
Okay.
I think it's left up to each individual and their local government, like you said, no state physical impact, but it leaves it to local.
And they can't do this now. You're just looking to allow them to do this if they want to.
To add the language in here to allow them to have that conversation.
Okay.
And I would assume that, I've not heard any opposition from ACCG or GMA. I assume it's because it's permissive and not mandatory that's the case.
Correct. I would think so, yes.
Senator Harbin.
Thank you.
Sure.
Am I correct, is this basically, though, if the county says we're not gonna tax you, then you're not gonna bill the customer for whatever, that's savings to you that you should be able to pass on to the customer, am I correct?
Yes, sir. I would think so. Like you said, it allows them that avenue within those dollar savings. Like I said, could pass it on to the customer and or, as you know, as it was mentioned, it may be able to have the opportunity to stock some more materials for the reliability of service.
Okay,
So I think it could be utilized in many ways.
okay, thank you.
All right, and Senator Gooch.
If the utility companies aren't going to testify, I'm just going to make a couple of statements but ask questions. Isn't it true that this inventory is gathered at the first of the year? So it's reported as of December 31st of each calendar year?
That is correct.
And so that's also the time of year when the utilities, especially up in North Georgia where we are, have to stock up. The most transformers and most telephone poles and hardware preparing for the ice storms and snowstorms and therefore a lot of breakdowns. Is that not correct?
That is correct.
And so you got South Georgia EMCs that come to North Georgia during the snow and ice storms. Then if you guys recall, during Hurricane Helene, all of our utility companies in North Georgia went to South Georgia. And every one of them took all their utility equipment, their manpower, their bucket trucks, their transformers, their poles, and all the hardware with them. And they let them have all that equipment and all those in inventory. So if we do this, if we eliminate the tax on this equipment, it incentivizes the power companies to keep more inventory on hand for when we do have those tragic storms. Is that not correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
All right, and Jason, you're still welcome to testify, but I think Senator Gooch did a decent job. But come on up.
Now he comes up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jason Bragg, Vice President, Government Relations with Georgia EMC. I think Representative Huddleston did a wonderful job explaining the bill. Obviously, our EMCs are in full support as not-for-profit electric cooperatives. Any savings that we can find, whether it's through taxes or things like this, are ultimately passed on to those members at the end of the line. And I think Senator Gooch did a great job of pointing out this is a situation where public policy kind of disincentivizes emergency preparedness. And this bill just allows us to go have those conversations with our local governments about abating all or a portion of that inventory tax. We're paying for that high dollar equipment that just right now has to sit on the yard. Happy to answer any more questions.
All right, any more questions from the committee? I'm not hearing any. We can probably do a motion now if somebody's ready to do that.
Sure.
We got a motion from Senator Gooch, a second from Senator Hickman. Any discussion on this? If not, all in favor, raise your hand. Unanimously. Thank you.
Thank y'all so much.
Tell them how easy it is over here in finance. You know.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, we're gonna have, find my list here. Representative Cannon, if you want to come up. Give me just a second to get my papers in order.
I thought they were here too.
All right, Representative Cannon, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. It's
Get everybody's attention here, please.
good to be back in the gauntlet again, so I call it over here in Senate Finance. I have a very straightforward bill for you to consider today. The purpose of this bill, House Bill 964, is to treat independently contracted fire departments the same as local government departments in terms of ad valorem and sales tax. In most cases, these independently contracted departments are what we call volunteer fire departments. And they perform the same function as fire departments that are organic or are organic to cities and counties. Those local fire departments are exempt from ad valorem taxes and sales taxes on equipment and the motor vehicles. Independently contracted fire departments are not. And again, both are performing the same service for the public as it pertains to OCGA 25-3-1 and 25-3-2, which is public safety and fire. So in quick summary, House Bill 964 would make independently contracted fire departments exempt from those same taxes so that they would be treated equally as in-house fire departments. I think this is a fairly common sense approach to the issue. I've spoken with DOR, ACCG, GMA, no issues there. I've spoken with the Volunteer Fire Association, no issues there. I appreciate Senator Albert's input on this bill. That's the genesis of the bill, Mr. Chairman. I'll take any questions.
All right, Senator Alberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Cannon, thank you for bringing this forward. I'm usually against any and all tax credits, but in this case, because it is so inconsistent with everybody else, we're picking winners and losers, and that's wrong. And in this case as well, volunteer fire departments are the ones that need access to equipment and have the least amount of dollars to spend. So this could make a meaningful difference, especially in our rural areas, for them to get life-saving equipment. Is that not true?
It is true. Thank you, Thank you for the question.
At the appropriate time, Mr. Chairman.
All right. And plus, with it being firemen, you have a special place in your heart for them,
I
too.
have a
Little prejudice that way,
yes,
yeah.
I do.
Any other questions from the committee? All right, Senator Dolezal, go ahead.
What does Section 3 of the bill do? That's the nicotine
Oh, okay.
product dealer.
That actually is just a cleanup from something where the out-of-state weren't in the same category as the in-state. It's just to treat them equally.
Treat who equally?
The vendors that sell, they weren't having to register in Georgia, and I can get somebody up here to speak on that if you would like. I
Can you
believe
say
Brad-
again what it
is
does? 'Cause
Brad
I'm
here?
not following you. Can you say again what it does? I'm not following you.
Well, the original code had a problem where the out-of-state weren't required to register for home sales as the in-state do. And it just makes it equal for our, so that our in-state dealers aren't treated any differently. It's about a 6-word cleanup, I think, just treat them all equally. All right, we'll take a motion if you're ready. Senator Albers?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move we do pass House Bill 964, LC 590428S.
Got a second by Senator Halpern. Any other discussion from anybody? All in favor, raise your hand. All right, passed unanimously. I forgot, is Representative Huddleston still here? We didn't get he probably left. I didn't get his Senate sponsors.
Oh, it was Matt Brass here.
Okay. Both of them?
Utility fellow, I'm not sure about.
Okay, we'll have to get with them another. Who's your
Mr.
Senate?
Chairman, Senator Albers would be
Okay.
Senate sponsor.
All right, great. Thank you
Mr.
very
Chairman.
much.
Appreciate it.
All right, and Representative Williams. We've got House Bill 1077, LC 590271.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill simply extends the
Give me
tax-
just a second, make sure everybody pulls their copy out here. All right, looks like everybody's got them. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 1077 basically extends the sales tax exemption for tickets and related fees for fine arts performances or exhibitions if they are held in a 501c3 not-for-profit or culturally significant museum focusing on arts, education, or cultural programming. Basically, this runs out in December of 2027, and this just extends it through the end of 2032. Georgia ranks 50th in supporting the arts, and this will be a good way to put a good foot forward supporting the arts.
And I think we had a fiscal note on it.
Yes, sir. The fiscal note on this
So
is $6.5 million for the state, 5.7 for locals.
Senator Albers, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Great to see you, Representative Williams.
Good to see you, sir.
As I was just saying in the last bill, I don't like picking winners and losers. In this case, we do. Because we tell someone who is a for-profit that they're going to pay, and those that are nonprofit do have to pay. Just seems odd to me that we would treat them inconsistently. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, we had, someone had brought that up a few minutes ago, and if y'all would like to offer a friendly amendment, we would be fine with that, where we treated both of them the same way.
I was thinking of that too, but probably the other way. Thanks.
All right, Senator Halpern.
Thank you. Isn't it true that our arts sector and our venues still have not seen full recovery post-COVID and continue to contribute, despite that, to the local economy that they each serve in?
Yes, ma'am, the lady knows of what she speaks.
And while some people might think that this only helps the larger arts institutions, would you share whether it also actually affects more specifically the smaller ones that
Yes,
actually don't have as much
The smaller
bandwidth?
rural areas, like for instance, I represent Cordell and Fitzgerald and also in Hawkinsville. It really impacts our area in the smaller communities where we're big, avid sports fans. We also have kids that are big in the arts, and so we need to make sure that they're recognized as well.
Thank you.
All right, Senator Dolezal.
Thank you, Representative. Good to see you. I just want to make sure I understand what we're doing here. I do a little bit of work in the music space, and if you were to do a symphony at Cobb Galleria,
Uh-huh.
there would be no sales tax charged on.
On the tickets
On the
and on
ticket.
the food.
Okay. And if that same entity went up and did the same show at the Roxy, there would be
Okay.
sales tax charged on the tickets and the food. In other words, the incentive is based on the venue, not based on the performance.
Correct.
I'm curious why that would be the trigger for fine arts. And I guess that gets back to what you were saying to Albers
Right,
is let's
right.
just,
And that's the way the bill was, and the sunset in 2027, and if, it sunsets in 2032. We were trying to extend that, and like I said, that's a good idea if we could add that to the bill.
can I go one more question,
Sure.
Mr. Chairman? So a lot of 501c3s are obviously churches.
Correct.
If a church hosts a dance,
I don't know of any churches that charge for dances or fairs or.
I mean, I spent 10 years on the road going to churches for concerts, and they certainly charged.
Really?
So,
Okay. Well, they don't in my area.
fair enough.
They never have. I mean, Baptist, Methodist,
I guess what I'm getting to is like it kind of bifurcates types of music. So I traveled with a Christian musician named
Okay.
Chris Tomlin,
Okay.
and we would go into churches. So trying to think of a church that we would have been here in Atlanta, North Point Church in Alpharetta.
Yeah. Stanley Church.
Yeah. So in that scenario, those tickets would be taxed, but the next night, and maybe it wouldn't if you called it a dance, right? I just,
Well, they're
I don't know,
Baptist,
it's-
they probably don't
I
call
know
it
this
dancing.
isn't your original bill, and I don't know how this is working. Yeah, exactly. Don't tell Mike Griffin we're talking about that. Okay, so you wouldn't have envisioned churches, obviously, because you hadn't thought about that necessarily, but it would be captured, I guess, in some cases here as well. Okay.
All right, any other questions from the committee? All right, we can have a motion at the will of the committee, I guess. We've got a motion, Senator Halpern, and second from Senator Cowsert. Any other discussion? All those in favor of this, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Opposed? All right. 7. Wait a minute, I got something wrong there. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Who was opposed? Raise your hand again. 2. Okay, I guess it was 8 to 2 then. All right, motion carries. And
Thank
who's
you,
your
sir.
Senate sponsor? I don't think it's
I believe
Albers.
Senator Hickman. Senator Hickman, would you like to carry this? Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, Representative Carpenter here.
I always have such a good time in this committee. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
How we doing today, guys?
We'll be the judge of that shortly.
No question.
We swear in this with
Yeah, I don't tend to lie in
All
here.
right, how much money do you want to give away today?
Gotta come with my hands. What are we giving away today? House Bill 328, LC 590427S, I believe is the substitute that you guys provided me with, which was a blessing, by the way. Normally I get it when I walk in, so I'm
Yeah.
excited about that. I got to actually learn what I was learn a little bit today. So this is this bill addresses the SSO program. Does a couple of things now as of today. It opens it up. It gives a waiver, the 6-week waiver, to be able to receive a scholarship to active duty military service children, also children with IEPs or Section 504s, or individuals with dyslexia, autism, speech language issues, hearing loss. That's the first thing it does. And then it goes to, I think, a part that's really important to you guys on line 93. And it just makes sure that no member of the General Assembly or spouse of the member of the General Assembly shall receive income from an SSO organization during the taxable year in which the organization receives a contribution, which I'm perfectly fine with. I think line 103 and 104 is just some cleanup language to make sure the process is done correctly. The big piece is on line 117 is moving the cap from 120. It passed the House at 140, and you guys have decided to move it to 225, which is close to what has been subscribed the past few years. It's actually about 240, 250 the last few years. It sets a percentage instead of having a base $6 million for the insurance premium tax liability. It sets it at 6%. So as the totals move over the years, it'll just move in correspondence with that. And then Section 6 is a different bill. I think Representative Townsend's bill on the Peach credit, taking that cap to 25 million from 15, I believe. And so most of this program's been around a long time. I do believe it's one of the tax credits that saves the state money. The average scholarship is around $4,700 versus we spend about $6,300 on average on QE funding for those children. So I do believe it saves the state money. You can make the argument that maybe these kids would never hit the public school, but the program itself requires them, except for these two exclusions, requires them to attend 6 weeks of a pre-K or K through 12 school. I did forget to cover one other thing. There is a cap on how much an individual student can receive through these scholarships. Is currently around $15,000 per kid, although the average is $4,700. This would waive that for kids with certain disabilities. It would waive that cap because we know that a lot of those kids would require more funding than your average student. I'll be glad to take any questions, thoughts.
Right, and we've got we've got another one here that has a sunset on it, like we sunset everything in 5 years. It would basically be.
So is this this is my new version. I love this.
Yeah,
that's fine. No worries. It's your world. Learned that a long time ago.
We had a study done on this, and it indicated that that less than half of these put somebody in the school if they were going to be there anyway. So that, and there's some accountability issues, but I think it's something that probably the majority of this committee will want to do.
It's your world.
I like the voucher program we put in better, and the federal program. I feel like there's more accountability in those, but that's just my personal opinion on it. Senator Dolezal.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Representative. Is this the program that on the first day is fully subscribed?
Every year.
Like by lunchtime?
Every year.
And when it's fully subscribed, then the process is to reduce the amount of funding that goes to the student by something like 53% they would lose.
That's right. I think 47% a few years ago. It may have been even less than that this year. So and I would argue that the results for me speak for themselves. We see it with the kids that are going to these schools. I see it firsthand at my kids attended a school that utilizes this program, and it brought kids to the school that would never be there. Over 50% of the kids are on scholarship at like $3,500 average. It just gives them enough that it gives parents skin in the game. It saves the state money. I would argue that our other voucher program, which I do like as well, does not save the state. It's just right hand, left hand. This actually saves money. And you know, you can talk about literacy rates. You can talk about college attendance rates. I think that the program kind of speaks for itself in that situation.
Follow up, Mr. Chairman. The language that you have on line 27 to 32, essentially, you are saying for students with a 504 and IEP or those that have been diagnosed with dyslexia, you're not requiring them to trigger that 6 weeks in a school. You're allowing them to go to a school that perhaps is customized for them and their needs, and without having to kind of jump through that hoop of going.
That's right, and we do a lot of that with military service personnel. We do that with licensing to speed up the process because they're in and out a lot, and so sometimes that 6 week, or let's say it's a semester, because most people are not going to send their kids somewhere for 6 weeks and move them immediately. They'll roll through a whole semester, so it speeds that process up. That is actually Bethany Ballard's bill, but y'all married them. But I do think it's good policy.
And Mr. Chairman, I also have my 2 cents on these 2 versions we have before us. You know, this is a credit that, as the representative said, we know saves the state money. And typically the sunsets that we've supported have usually been corporate tax credits with an eye towards evaluating the ROI to the state. This is not something we're doing with an eye towards an ROI to the state. This is an investment in the students. So at the appropriate time, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to pass the version that does not have the sunset on it.
All right. Senator Halpern?
What is my question? I have some concerns about the huge acceleration. I understand that this is more of committee sub, but from 120 million to the 225 million. I do acknowledge that the students who are able to go then to the private schools who may not otherwise be able to afford to go. So there is some value in that. I myself used to chair an independent school here in Atlanta, and we did use this program. But is it not still an offset, though, of monies that would otherwise be invested in other priorities, maybe even including education of our public schools?
Yeah,
and those students who are currently in the public schools, and bolstering up the public schools so that they can provide the whatever the children who are choosing to go to the privates would ordinarily need.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can always make the argument that sure, it would be great if we fully funded QBE and gave them an additional $220 million. I think, to me, the argument is by allowing kids options, because everybody doesn't fit in the same box, I think you have better outcomes for both sets. And to relieve some of the class sizes in the public school, while they're still keeping the local money, actually raises your per student spend in the public school. So that's my argument.
But would you agree that this is a different pot of 225 million on top of the pot of money that is going to vouchers, which is another kind of choice mechanism that the state is offering, on top of other choice mechanisms, that the total amount ends up being far greater than just this one bucket of money for this particular program? Sure.
So I think the voucher number is 70 million. So if this goes to 220, then that's $300 million, and it paled like a drop in the bucket compared to what we spend on QBE funding. And I'm a restaurant guy. I know you know that. And you go out. There's all kinds of restaurants. We got choices when we go out to eat, and I think iron sharpens iron, and I think having those options is important because not everybody fits in those boxes. And I always love to see, they had the kids here the other day, and you see mixed families, right? You got a kid that's in public school and then another kid that's in private school, and it just, people see the value in having those options. And so I'm a big fan of options.
I mean, mine is a family that does options too. I will just underscore that I'm concerned about the acceleration to 225 million from the 120.
Sure, and I think the conversation is, it's always been in kind of $20 million increments, and we're coming every year, and everybody said, hey, let's get this, and we don't have to bring it up every year. And so that's the reason, I think, for that, and that it's subscribed so high.
All right, Senator Gooch.
Representative Carpenter, this is probably the best bill you've introduced this year, so thank you for bringing it to us. I'm not saying much about
I've
some
got a
your
lot
other
of good ones. They just don't ever get over here, but I've got a
just
lot
haven't-
of them.
they just
Anytime
haven't-
you want to
they
sit down and go through my graveyard of legislation, we'll have a fine
The
time.
bridge from the House to the Senate must have collapsed on you this year, but
Yeah, it's kind of like I don't know if you played Mario Kart ever growing up, Rainbow Road, where you fall off the side of the rainbow.
There you
That's
go.
what typically happens to my legislation.
you may have mentioned this, and I did not hear it. So if it's fully subscribed by noon on the first day, what do you think the full demand would be? Does anyone have any records of
I
that?
think that 240, 250 is a good number. Obviously, as we continue to reduce the income tax, that's going to slow down subscription as
Sure,
well.
that's right.
Like anything else, I'd like to see it where it's not oversubscribed. So how does that balance out, right?
That is a good question. If the state income tax was eliminated tomorrow, would this program be gone?
Well, so you hopefully you got the corporate side, and then you have the insurance tax premium side
Right.
as well. So there are avenues, but like anything, it'll be a struggle. There's a lot of individuals that support this. So.
And I like what you did on lines 93 through 96. We should probably add that to a lot of bills, but what was the origin of that?
That didn't come from me. That came from the committee somewhere.
Okay.
But I'm fine with it. I don't have a problem.
Yeah,
with
well, I think we should add it to a lot of bills.
Yep.
Thank you.
it. Absolutely.
Yeah. But I think any program where you said if you donate $5,000, we'll give you $5,000 would be oversubscribed, no
Right.
matter what you're doing it for, so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we got tax credits out there, foster kid tax credits that do the same thing that aren't oversubscribed. People are real passionate about this tax
Yeah.
credit.
Senator Anderson?
Representative Governor, thank you for bringing this to us. How many children currently have enrolled in this, and has the numbers increased? How much have the numbers increased, say, in the last 3 years?
I'm thinking that it's around 20,000, and so it continues to go up as the dollar amounts increase. The idea would be you take this to 220, it would add another 20,000 kids to receiving scholarships, partial scholarships. And we don't allow them to take both, right? You can't get this and the Promise Scholarship. It's either or. So
You would expect the enrollment to go up
at least another 20,000,
in the next year,
or however long it takes to work its way through the system.
okay?
And I believe somebody. Do we have
Yeah,
minded this?
you know, I didn't call them up, so don't come up yet.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, in this committee, Casey doesn't say who comes up.
That's the truth.
We've got, first up, Camille with, Naughton with Krista Ray, Atlanta. You can come on up.
Come on in here. Glad to have you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So my name is Camille Naughton, and I'm the president of Krista Ray Atlanta High School here about half a mile down the road. We have 500 students. We are 9 through 12, and all of our students qualify for this. So this is extremely, extremely important to us. Our average household income for our families is $43,000 for a family of 4. So all of our students are low income. And so we assess our parents. Our parents pay to come to Krista Ray, but they pay on average $750 a year. It costs us $20,000 a year to educate them. So you can see where this tax credit is essential to our success. You've seen it. And so this, to me, every year we sweat out January 1st. We work really hard to gather as many donors as we can to earmark their tax credits for us, and then we get a 53% proration. You know, this year a 47%, we get a reduction by 53%. And so I just want to say, as a user of this, it is remarkable. 100% of our students are accepted into college every year. And I think, Senator Halpern, you mentioned ROI. We had our first college graduates in 2022. Since then, 51% of them have been hired by our corporate partners. Our school partners with 125 different companies in Atlanta, and these kids are getting jobs at Accenture and Deloitte and Delta Airlines and Coca-Cola. That is a game-changing employment for them and their families. So we're changing the trajectory of their lives. The ROI on this investment at Krista Ray, I can tell you, is exemplary. And then those kids are going on as financially independent taxpayers and contributors too. Yes. So one thing I wanted to say too, just as the CEO of a school, I know that the sunset is important, but I want to argue against that if possible. It is very difficult to plan how we will replace this money. This money makes up 30% of our operating budget, and it scares me every single session that it could go away. And so you're always playing this sort of, it's very difficult to plan.
And I'll add, you guys have done a really good job over there, and I think you get more of the corporate tax credits, don't you?
Not tax credits, the corporations actually just pay us.
Yes.
Yes, so 50% of our budget comes from the
But I mean,
corporations.
they get money, they get part of this allocation.
Oh, yes, so yes, I'm sorry, I understand your question.
And they're limited to a certain amount, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what's that limit, sponsor of the bill? I'm sure you know all this.
10 grand?
No,
No,
that's
no.
not his question. 75%.
You have
Yeah.
75%
75% of,
of their corporate tax.
but I mean, as far as a dollar amount.
No,
Of this-
I don't think there's a dollar amount.
Okay.
I think it's
It's
75%.
75% of the corporate tax, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
If it stays within the cap, to her question.
All right. Well, appreciate your testimony.
Thank you.
We've got Ben Saylor with Georgia Gold.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. I'll keep this really brief. I know our time is precious. My name is Ben Saylor. I'm the president and CEO of the Georgia Gold Scholarship Program. We're the largest student scholarship program administering this tax credit here in the state of Georgia. So we've had the pleasure for the last 17 years, 18 years now, seeing the impact of this, seeing thousands of students get on these scholarships and the lives that are changing. I would echo Camille's comments related to sunset and trying to plan forward for students' futures. For a lot of these schools that are K through 12, they're admitting these kindergartners with a plan to provide scholarship for all 12 years that they're in school, which gives them a lot of hesitation in participation if there's a 5-year sunset on the program. So I would just ask and encourage all of you to consider the version of the bill without a 5-year sunset while understanding the reason for having sunsets and reviewing tax credits, and would encourage continued studies on our program and others and audits to make sure that it's still providing a great ROI on the state. And we'd be happy to take any questions that
And
anyone has.
the money that you guys get out of it, the percentage administrative cost is on a sliding scale, right?
Yes, sir. It's up to 8%. Georgia Gold has, since the beginning, only charged a 4% administrative fee. And in the last few years, we've actually found ways of providing rebates back to the schools as we've been able to reduce our expenses on that as well. The nationwide average is a 10% allowed administrative fee.
Well, I think Florida's at 3%, the last I looked at them.
Florida, yes, sir. Florida also has about a $2 billion tax credit program with only 2 student scholarship organizations administering it. So their scale has been able to grow to get that percentage down that low. Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're doing it at 4% right now?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay. Senator Hickman, you got a question?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If maybe go back to the lady before.
Yes,
you know, one of the big buzzwords up here this session has been for a while is literacy.
Yes, sir.
Do we have any kind of numbers on what the children or the students at your school, what grade level they're reading on, or how proficient in reading they are? I'm just curious. I mean, because that's if we're putting $300 million in it, we ought to be getting some out of it.
Absolutely. When our students arrive at Cristo Rey, on average, they are 2 years behind in both math and English, and by the time they graduate, they're college ready. So we do 1.5 years of curriculum every year that they're with us over those 4 years.
And you have all those numbers publicly available?
Not publicly available, but privately available. I'm happy to send them to you.
Now, so like in 3rd grade reading level, what percentage of kids at 3rd grade are reading on grade
We
level?
don't. We're only high school, and we won't take
Oh, high
students.
school.
Yeah,
Okay,
but we
okay,
can't
that's
go
right.
back more than 2 years because we
but-
can't catch them up to Reddit.
So
yeah.
what kids, you know, one of the things we're seeing is across the state of Georgia, only about 45% of the students graduating are reading on 12th grade level.
Mm-hmm.
What percentage of your students graduating are reading on grade level?
85%.
Can you share that with me,
Yeah,
please?
absolutely.
Okay.
And
Please, thank you.
85 is a guess, but
Thank
yeah,
you,
it's
Mr.
close.
Chairman.
Okay.
All right, we've got one more person, I believe. Or was there on the goal? Let's see, 328. Yeah, Tripp Richardson here with Frontline.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Tripp Richardson with Frontline Policy, and we are here in support of HB 328 today. As Representative Carpenter already mentioned, this legislation strengthens Georgia Student Scholarship Organization program by expanding eligibility for certain students, including children of active duty military families and students with disabilities, such as those with IEPs or Section 504 plans. This bill also increases the tax credit cap for donations to scholarship organizations, allowing more private funding to support scholarships and provide families with additional educational opportunities. Frontline continues to fight for expansive school of choice and HB 328 helps ensure more Georgia families have options when it comes to their children's education. We respectfully ask for favorable consideration of HB 328. Thank you.
All right. Any questions from the committee? I don't see any. Thank you for your testimony. All right, we're back to the bill. I think everybody's spoken. Which, you got LC number you want to pass? There was one with a sunset and one without. Okay, we've got a motion and a second by Senator Albers. Senator Dolezal.
He made a motion on LC 590431S, which is the version with the sunset. I'd like to make a motion to strike line 125, which is the sunset.
Okay. We've got a motion, and now we've got an amendment that's been seconded. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'll respond to the senator who wasn't recognized but wanted to opine.
Hang on. Let Senator Zoloff, and then you can speak.
So we heard testimony. I know it'll be probably shocking for you not to be on opposite ends of any issue, but in all seriousness, the certainty that these students need when they go into these programs is critical, and we do not need to put the Senate in a posture of without any action whatsoever by the General Assembly. This just automatically goes away completely in 2032. I think that the General Assembly at that time, most of us probably will not be here, needs to go on the record if they want to repeal this program. I do not believe that this program should go away without the members of the General Assembly and the governor having to go on the record with their position on it. So that's why I made the motion I made.
All right, Senator Warwick, you're recognized now.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't. The argument that a sunset gives uncertainty would mean that everything that we sunset, uncertainty looms, and so we shouldn't have sunsets. It's perfectly possible that the sunset get lifted and or moved as the time for its sunsetting approaches. That's common practice of this committee, so I don't hear a strong argument for throwing the doors open.
All right. Senator Albers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate Senator Dolezal's thought process, but I have to agree that we sunset everything, and every person who's ever come for a tax credit of this committee always comes to the same thing. Well, we need certainty. We need to continue on forever, but I think part of being good fiscal stewards here is we reanalyze this stuff. We keep remeasuring it. And that has proved us to find areas that we need to make adjustments over time. I'll go on record as saying I hope one day we have 100% school choice and none of this is needed. But for right now, I think this is a good sound policy to keep the sunset.
Senator Gooch.
Really just another comment, but to strike the sunset, in my opinion, gives certainty to the parents who have children in these schools. Otherwise, they don't know if this bill is going to exist in 5 years or not. So if they have a kid in this program and then 2 years later the tax credit goes away and it's not renewed, then where does that put the child? So I would agree to get rid of the sunset, but I've seen this committee go back and forth on sunsets one bill, no sunsets on the other. So it's just been kind of ironic to hear this discussion, but I would support the amendment to repeal the sunset on this bill for sure.
All right, Senator Dolezal, I think you're the next comment.
Closed debate, I guess. Let
me let the other comments.
No, I'll just say what I want to say, and that's okay. I was joking about closing debate. This is not a business tax credit. This is not a tax credit for people that want to repair a yacht. This is not a tax credit for people who want to make a movie. This is not a tax credit for people who want to do research and development. This is a tax credit for families to put their kids in an educational opportunity. Now, with this expansion, kids with dyslexia, kids with IEPs and 504s. At Cristo Rey, kids with first-generation college students, almost every single one of them. And this program has never had a tax credit. So the language was used, has never had a sunset.
Actually, it has in the past, but it was taken off the last time in conference committee. It's the last time it passed out.
It was taken out in conference committee, meaning it didn't pass. So there have been efforts to do a sunset before, but there has never been a sunset in code on this program.
I think there was one, and then it was taken out in a conference committee. when it was up from, the last time it was up.
Then let me rephrase. In my time in the General Assembly, and that may be accurate what you're saying, this program has not had a sunset. There have been attempts to put sunsets on this program before. I think that if you think about a student who's a freshman in college, or sorry, in high school in 2032, and we just let this thing go, it's very, very, very disruptive. It is far more disruptive than not allowing some guy to repair his yacht and not pay sales tax. And so I think to compare this to other business tax credits is I think you're beginning to really compare apples to oranges in a way that I recognize the intent, but I would really ask this committee to consider the posture that.
All right, I'm going to let Senator Halper go, and then that's going to be the last comment because everybody else has commented.
Well, one point that you just made, Senator, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding that once the school accepts you, they're not accepting you back. The planning that schools do is on a trajectory, knowing how many students that they're going to have, how many students they can accept. And so I don't know that it throws the families in limbo year by year, not knowing that they're actually going to be able to come back. And we're not sitting here today eliminating this SSO program at all. But there can be some fluctuation, obviously, the more people subscribe. I think the other thing that we're pursuing in this conversation that is fundamentally not true, and every school, including Crystal Ray, who does a wonderful job with students, is that every school can accept a wider bandwidth. So we can talk about dyslexia, we can talk about IEPs and 404 programs, but the schools are determining, kind of how much rubber band room they have to stretch in terms of the students they accept. And it's not as wide as I think we presume when we are in these conversations generally. So just keep that in mind as well as we're debating the sunset or not.
All right, well, everybody, I think,
Mr. Chairman, that hadn't been made.
all right, I'll give you 30 seconds
Thank you
here.
so much. Every parent with a child in school has got uncertainty. They're closing 16 schools in the Atlanta public school system as we speak. That's uncertainty. You live with that. Who's the teacher going to be? Is the principal going to stay the same? There are all sorts of unpredictables that exist in this world around education, and so that I just think that's a fallacious argument.
All right.
In the face of all of the uncertainties that parents deal with in education.
All right, appreciate the comments. We've got an amendment on the floor, so we'll vote on, we've had a motion, then we had an amendment on the floor. All those in favor of the amendment, raise your hand.
The amendment is to strike the sunset?
Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Chairman, can I make a quick comment?
Well, we're in the middle of a vote right now, so no. All right. Raise your hands again. Those are in favor of the amendment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the amendment has failed. We're back to the underlying bill. All in favor of the bill, raise your hand. All right, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 opposed. 3 opposed. Motion carries. Who's your Senate sponsor?
Sean Stills is carried.
Sean Still, that sounds correct to me. That's all today. Meeting adjourned.
Thanks, sir.
Good job, Mr. Chair.
Thanks.